Hi, this is Rosanna from Prep Scholar TOEFL. Today we're going to be talking about TOEFL scores. What's a good TOEFL score? Is it just an above average score, or do top schools require more? That's what we're going to talk about today. First, we'll look at the average scores of TOEFL test takers. To review, the TOEFL contains 4 sections: reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Each of these sections is scored from 0 to 30. So your total TOEFL score can be from 0 to 120. ETS, the organization that designs and administers the TOEFL, collects data on how well test takers do. The data below is taken from all the people who took the TOEFL in 2015, but similar results should apply this year. Top 25% of test takers get a total score of 98 or above. So if you get a 98 on the TOEFL, you've done better than about 75% of students who take the TOEFL. The average test taker gets a score of 84. So if you get an 84 on the TOEFL, you've done better than about half of other students and worse than about half of other students. Finally, the bottom 25% of test takers get a score of 69 or lower. So if you get a 69 on the TOEFL, you have done better than only 25% of other test takers. So if a good TOEFL score just means a better than average TOEFL score, then a good TOEFL score is just a score of 84 or higher. But for many students, that's not the best definition of a good TOEFL score. A good TOEFL score should be the one that helps you achieve your goals. Specifically, a good TOEFL score is a score that gets you into your schools of choice. Most schools have a minimum required TOEFL score, or a TOEFL score you must meet in order to be considered for admission. That's a score that many students are aiming at. So, what score is good by that standard? Well, it depends on which school you want to apply to. Here's a list of TOEFL requirements for a few undergraduate American schools. The University of Michigan has a minimum TOEFL requirement of 100. MIT requires a score of 90, but recommends a score of 100. The University of Iowa has a minimum TOEFL score requirement of 80, and Iowa State University has a minimum TOEFL requirement of 71. So what is a good TOEFL score? In the end, it depends on what school you want to go to. For many schools like Michigan and MIT, and many Ivy League schools as well, a 100 on the TOEFL will be enough to meet the school's minimum requirement. That's one reason why many students aim to score at least 100 on their TOEFL. But in the end, a good score on the TOEFL is just a score that meets your personal goals. For you, it might be an 100 or it might be some other number. So here's how to find out your personal TOEFL score. First, make a list of schools that you plan to apply to. Next, write down the minimum TOEFL score for each one. Finally, find the highest minimum score on that list. That's the TOEFL score you should be aiming at. For example, if you dream of being an undergraduate at Michigan or Iowa, your list should include the minimum scores for those schools, 100 and 80. The highest score on that list is 100, so your personal good TOEFL score is also 100. But if you have a different dream school, then your good score might be higher or lower than that. We hope that you end up at the school of your dreams. If you want to raise your TOEFL score but don't know how, you'll be interested in the courses we've developed here at Prep Scholar. You don't need a TOEFL course to get a great TOEFL score, but we believe Prep Scholar is the world's best TOEFL course right now. So if you are nervous about the TOEFL and don't know how to raise your score, try Prep Scholar TOEFL. Learn more by visiting toefl.prepscholar.com. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe to your next lesson.